center of everywhere. It's Beneath the Surface with Sean Murphy and Corey Cooper.
Alright, this is my head. Now you do your head. And look at his head. Your head's swimming in that already. You loosened it, didn't you? So you wouldn't have such an asshole.
You loosened it.
Alright, now let's do a hat swap.
This thing is just sweat.
That thing is huge on you. You look like you're 7 years old wearing somebody's hat. Wow.
I mean, what in the world? I look like I'm wearing a damn yarmulke. All right.
All right, enough of the shenanigans.
How's the inflation out there,
Hold
people?
on. We have to start.
See the price of gas lately?
We've got
Holy
to
Jesus.
start the podcast. Are we really running?
Yeah,
We're rolling. Welcome to another episode of Beneath the Surface podcast. Sean is joining me. We've got Tyler here, spot checking the audio or doing something. I don't know. So, Tyler, what are you doing?
that's exactly what you said.
It's hard for
cool.
him to hear with that tiny head.
Yes. In case you missed the pre-show, we were talking about Tyler's head, and apparently he's the only human that had the Zika virus post-birth.
Yeah, his head actually shrunk.
Yeah. So
Beetlejuice.
I'm the host, Corey Cooper. I'm the CEO here at BOTE. And we've got, for the first time, making a cameo appearance live. You know, I promise he's not allergic to cameras. Is our CFO, Mr. Cameron Oden. Cameron, welcome to
Thank you for having me.
the first edition of, the Beneath the Surface customer
Thanks,
podcast that you're on. For those of you that don't work at BOTE, we do an internal podcast here at BOTE monthly. And Cameron is my co-host.
Yep.
You're like you guys were talking about sidekicks
Ed,
earlier.
Andy, whatever
Yeah.
it takes. You know
Batman
what I
and
mean?
Robin.
You got it.
You provide the comic relief.
That was a good joke, Corey. Really good stuff.
When Cameron was in Egypt's land, let my Cameron go.
What are you singing?
That's
What
another
is that?
reference we aren't going to get.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off, man.
Oh,
Remember
man. Oh, yeah, that's right. The guy's name was Cameron. I totally forget.
We're from the 80s.
So am I. The 80s. Well, speaking of the 80s, by the way, that was the 70s.
70s.
Reaganomics?
I think the tie-in's about 70s.
More
right?
70s. So
Early
the
80s.
before we get completely off topic here, what we're discussing today is it's a cool little thing called Built for Inflation. You know, it's a kind of a slight to the current economic conditions, but also the fact that like 80% of our products are built for inflation. Ha ha. Where's the comic relief
That's a
there?
good one, Corey. I like that joke.
So, since we're having some sort of financial conversation and economic environment conversations here, we decided to invite Cameron.
Bring in the CFO.
Right?
All right, well, thanks for
the
having me.
Count
I
is
appreciate
what
it.
you officially go by.
He sits in an office in the back corner of the building with. I just actually put artwork on his walls. Before that, there was nothing.
There was nothing in there. There's white walls.
He just sits, and you just hear this clicking.
So, Cameron, before we get too deep, tell us a little bit about yourself. What do you enjoy on the weekends? You know, we gotta humify you, man.
Yeah, I know. All right, I'll be less of the Count and more of the human. I just got back from a trip from Orlando. Mm-hmm. I'm married, 2 kids. We just got back from a great vacation. What do I do on the weekends? Do a little paddleboarding since I came on board with BOTE. A lot of bike riding. We're just talking about right now, doing some biking together. Just a regular guy. Play a little golf. CFO, you got to play a little golf, right?
Golf shoes,
Hang out with the family, do fun stuff. You
golf
know what
shoes,
I mean?
golf pants.
Green jacket, gold jacket.
Exactly.
We're really going off subject today.
Oh, but yeah, that's the human me. You know what I mean? Pretty laid back. Enjoy life here in North Florida. I've been in Florida for almost 20 years.
Yep.
Down in South Florida before this, but really have enjoyed moving up here and living up in North Florida.
We sucked you out of South Florida right in the middle of the pandemic. I
Right.
think it was May-ish.
Yeah.
I think
June.
you officially came on board in July.
Yeah.
Right. And before that, you were almost exclusively in Florida, South Florida.
That's right.
And so this is the northwest Panhandle corner, right?
Yeah.
Basically South Alabama is what this is considered.
Floribama.
How do the two give the average? Everyone, dude, when we're talking about Florida, they don't understand the difference between like here and then South Florida, and you got South Florida and Gulf Coast Florida. What's the difference?
There's so many ways. I will tell you this, and I'll start by saying, when I came up here in June of 2020, it was surreal because South Florida was just locked down from COVID. I mean, it was unbelievable. People were not on the freeways. People were not in stores. It was shut down completely. My son and I drove up here. Sorry, I get a little bit closer.
You're good. You're good.
My son and I drove up here, and it was almost it was the polar opposite, right? I mean, there are people in resorts, there are people in restaurants, so it was really refreshing for me to come up and see that. But to answer your first question, South Florida is like a combination of New York, Cuba, Haiti, Bahamas, all rolled up into one big metro area. It's wild. And it's a great place to live when you're younger, and to go visit when you're younger. And
what does that mean, Cameron?
Hey,
means I moved out at the right time.
Had a weekend together in Miami.
Yeah,
I've seen you in action.
Oh yeah, that was all right. We're gonna go on to the next topic.
The dark horse. The dark horse, Cameron.
No, it's if you get around Florida, it's a huge state. I mean, it takes almost 10 hours to drive up here. South Florida is a blast. It is like I said, a international community, big cosmopolitan area. This is a little more country up here, a little more Floribama, like you said. But I mean, it's a great state. You can go, and then you go down to the Gulf Coast on the Tampa side. It's probably a little bit of an older crowd, beautiful ocean, beautiful beaches, things like that.
Used to be. I think it's getting way younger.
Is it getting younger now? Yeah, so I mean, it's just one of those cool states.
It's not God's waiting room anymore.
But yeah, I mean, I love it here. Loved it down there. It was great for the time. Great place to raise a family, and now we moved up here.
Well, now that we've got you on camera, now I get to use this one.
Uh-oh.
So
shit! No,
yeah,
I know
yeah,
what's
dude.
coming.
Oh yeah, and then we have to flash. Well, after I'd say we got to be able to give like a side by side comparison. When I first met Cameron, I was like, dude, you look like the dentist on The Hangover. You know what I mean? And it's yeah,
He's a dentist.
it's a dentist. What is his name? Ed Helm? Is that his name?
Yeah.
Ed Helms.
Yeah.
That is Cameron's alter ego. And I've just sworn up and down if there's any way I can get you in a situation where you accidentally get an eye tattoo.
Accidentally, yeah.
Dude.
I like how you say that. When it does have my accent. Don't worry.
Dude.
Yeah, I've been watching a lot of The Office lately, and that guy pops up on that. I don't know if you ever watched that show.
I haven't, man.
It's he's on that a lot too. So
Yeah. So please, when you're editing, if there's any way you can go and movie magic.
We've got him, and we've got Brett Favre, and here's,
Brett Favre.
Who's Brett Favre?
hey,
I thought you said you got confused for James Hetfield.
That I could see.
oh, dude.
A little bit more of that.
Okay.
All right. Sorry.
All right. Well, listen.
Yeah.
Before we get off on the whole doppelganger conversation, Cameron, you and I talk a lot about in our podcasts and everything else, and I think maybe bringing some of the financial discussions to this. I don't want to bore everybody to tears with like dollars and.
Well, you already brought me on board,
cents.
so we were going down that path. I'm afraid,
But let's just first start by talking about we're running a kind of a sales promo like marketing plan for the month of July called Built for Inflation, and we're taking the play off of our products about how one they are built to be inflated, right? And they're built for inflation. And that the pressure inside of our products actually, is a good thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whereas inflation pressure on the economy is not necessarily a good thing.
Right.
And as it relates to kind of our brand and products, I actually think this market and the conditions of the economy somewhat favor this product set, first and foremost because they don't use gas.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when we started the brand, it was late 2009-ish. That whole economic, very similar conditions, but for different reasons.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing that I saw was the fact that gas prices were expensive, housing prices, it was going down and stuff, and people still wanted to get on the water, but they wanted an affordable way, low maintenance way to do it.
Yeah.
And our industry has experienced a lot of tailwinds in the past, particularly coming out of the pandemic, where there was this mad dash to get outside.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was, in whether it's social distancing or whatever, I think it provided the perfect environment. And I'll still say the same thing in today's
environment. I mean,
Yeah.
if you filled up your gas tank, if you bought groceries, if you paid rent, I mean, all those things are where you're feeling a ton of pain right now.
Yeah.
And it's hard because this is summer where people want to get out. It's been a couple of tough years. People want to spend a little bit of money. They want to spend time with family. They want to vacation. They want to do some fun stuff. And inflation's putting a crimp on it. And
well, we can speak firsthand, man. We've gone through on the supply chain side, on the logistics side,
Yeah.
all the way to the retailer side of things. We've been seeing kind of the wave coming,
Yep.
if you will, for the last 24 months, right? You had a mad dash to this category for people buying it, which created supply chain pressure,
Right.
to react.
Right.
And we're fortunate because we do a considerable amount of sales direct to consumer. So we were able to quickly read, engage the market, you know, and watching them respond. On the flip side, we also have a sizable amount of wholesale partners, you know, your retailers like an REI, a Dick's, Academy, the mom and pop specialty outdoor shops around the country
Yep.
that, you know, unfortunately they set their buying trends as they go into the season. So they're almost a season behind the curve.
Right.
Right. And so when you're seeing it coming, they don't get to respond until the next year. And so
Right.
you get this real, what you've been referring to as ditch to ditch.
yeah, inflation doesn't wait for that. You know what I mean? It doesn't wait for you to reline up your products. It doesn't wait for certain things to come in. It just hits. You know
Yep.
what I mean? There's no timing behind it, and it's painful. So
Well, for us, we've seen on the supply chain side, you know, costs massively increasing, logistics delays, you know, taking forever.
logistics expenses, you know what I mean? The cost of freight, I mean, went through the roof there for a while.
Yep.
You know, there are backlogs of the ports that were driving costs up.
And everybody, any of our customers that were on our website last year, we were basically selling air.
Yeah.
I mean, literally,
Yeah.
air like this,
We were laughing.
but air. I mean, everything was on pre-order because we couldn't get it. There was such a huge bottleneck on that end, and so it's been, you know, a little bit of a challenge.
Yeah.
We got who's interrupting the podcast back there?
Susie.
Sorry. Back to normal programming here.
Back to
Susie
normal.
at BOTE.com.
Yes.
Well,
as usual.
the supply chain rippled through everything, and you could, you know, to your point, you could watch it work its way through each successful portion.
Yeah.
It was production, it was freight, it was trucking. I mean, you could almost, we sat there and talked about it. You could see what was coming next. If you prognosticated enough, you knew where inflation was going to hit next. The labor rates were going up. I mean,
Yep.
it was just all going in one direction. And right now, that direction is right at the end consumer. You know
Yep.
what I mean? So
And I think that's what we're, you know, unfortunately we've had pricing impacts that have affected customer as well.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it takes, you know, a margin, you know, a profit to support a business and to
Right.
run a business. And what we're attempting to do in the month of July is somewhat, you know, we've used a term internally, holiday, you know, an inflation holiday, kind of a pricing holiday, if you will.
like a tax holiday.
Yeah,
we
I mean,
for school and stuff, right?
To give us a chance to be able to, you know, slightly, you know, reduce some of the pressure at the end consumer,
Right.
Because they're feeling it everywhere, man. You go to the grocery store, you go to your gas pump. I will say one thing, and I don't mean this in a negative way, because we've got a lot of friends and partners in the boating industry, but man,
Filling up that boat is rough right now.
dude,
Yeah.
I've used my boat 3 times
Yeah.
all year. Sean, you came to tow it out of the water.
I towed yours yesterday. I drove my boat, and I have a small, tiny boat, $300 in gas, just putting around last week.
You think about all the people that come into this area to vacation too. I mean, that's just another expense. Just getting here, just driving here, filling up your tank to get here, and then you throw in things like that.
Well, and we're a discretionary spend. You know, I mean, our product line is not. It's a nice to have and a must have.
Yeah.
It's, I guess, technically a nice to have. I don't want to sell it that way because I don't think that's when you're talking about, you know, your free time and spare time, kind of outside of, you know, your career or whatever else. It's your time on the water with your friends and family,
Yeah.
or time just, you know, in general, your recreational time. I still think this is a very affordable, you know, combining, like you just talked about going to Disney.
Yep.
I mean, I say it all the time.
Your competition
Our
is
competition is Disney.
You
We
got it.
are fighting over
Yeah.
dollars and money for time with friends, and
family entertainment. You got it.
That's it.
all
Family
there.
entertainment.
Yeah.
I guarantee you that wasn't cheap.
No.
I mean, I don't mean to make
never
light
is,
of
man.
it. But so yeah, I think I think this is still positioned really well in today's inflationary environment to to still be an affordable way for the nuclear family to get out and be on the water. The gas, like I said, I mean, not to keep beating on that, but you don't have to fill any of these things up with gas. You know.
Just take it out in the water. The other thing is you kind of wish other folks would do that too. I mean, everybody's feeling the pain. It should be a lot of companies should be thinking about that kind of promotion across the board, inflation buster. And
I think you're going to see it. I mean, I know lots of retailers. Anybody that pays attention to the stock market or earnings reports and stuff, a lot of chains and et cetera are over inventoried.
Yeah.
They got a ton of inventory.
Well, they do, and I would say the one thing I would say is that they're doing that they have to, right? They've got to clear that out. I think this is more kind of what you guys are doing is much more of a promotional.
You guys, what do you? Us
sorry,
guys.
I'm the financial guy. I'm in the back counting all the time. So
I see how you're seeing it. You're
just counting the money.
So then you can just point the finger at somebody else if the
no,
margin's
absolutely
coming
not.
bad.
I think what we're doing is a great thing. It's much more of a promotional. It's recognizing the pain. It's not necessarily tied to, hey, we've got too much on hand. It's more of an inflation buster promotion.
Sean, you're not a finance guy by any stretch of the imagination.
No.
What is your financial
Tyler's
acumen?
dad's my financial advisor.
Really?
Yeah, for real.
So as
Buddy.
a non-financial guy, describe you're a pretty decent representation of the audience. Like what, in terms of how are you experiencing the same thing? I mean, the inflation shit. How's it touching you?
Well, I'm in fear a lot. I mean, if we're gonna be honest, it's like, do I need this? Do I need that? I've been cutting costs every month, like really diving through what I spend my money on and cutting things out. I do that every month, little things, to try to, lessen my nut, because we don't know what someone like me that doesn't know the stock market and isn't very good with, all that stuff. I have to play it safe, and I need to see tangible things. That's how my mind works. I don't do well with trust me, man, it's gonna go down, but just keep dumping money into it. It's gonna go. I'm like, man, I just lost 20 grand with our friend Will Boucher doing crypto, and I was like, man, bro, 20 G's just like the wind. Man, I'm sorry. I thought I've never seen this before. This is weird. I'm like, 20 grand. I got to put a kid in cut through college. What are we doing?
You gotta love the statement.
That happened last week.
20 grand in crypto.
I was like, fuck me. So I mean,
that's the one thing, dude. I mean, I don't even
20 G's. Bye.
I don't even pretend to know it. Crypto. I mean,
no.
I just because it's you said earlier, it's not real, it's not tangible, dude.
It's not tangible. That's the.
Yeah. So anyway, that's where I sit, and I listen to people that are smarter than me, like Tyler's dad or Cameron, or if I have questions, I talk to people, and they talk me off the ledge all day and every day. But I'm scared, man. I'm like, do I need this boat? This shit's expensive.
Dr. Doom.
But hey, this is the way I also look at it, like joy versus, I'm like, it brings me great happiness. So I nix the things that don't bring me great happiness. It costs me extra money, and I keep the things that do. And what brings me great happiness is being on the water.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, if you strip everything that's cool out, then everything sucks.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
I don't need 3 cars, but I need a boat.
Maybe until it turns into mine. Man, I'm like the biggest snake bit person on the planet when it comes with boats. I've used my boat, a boat. So I had a little skiff, and then the boat.
You've got a nice boat.
The boat you guys towed out 3 times. 2 times the shit's broke.
Oh, shit.
This year, you mean?
This year, yeah.
Because the thing with boats is they can't sit.
You got to run them all the time.
You got to run them,
and that is one. It takes too much time, and it's really freaking expensive to do that now. I think I'm just gonna get out of the whole boat game.
I think about selling mine every day. I've had it for 4 months.
I'm just gonna get out.
Yeah, see ya. We'll just rent one.
Boy, we're taking this down
I would say I sold
Guys,
mine.
this is what you thought when you scheduled the podcast.
I had.
You sold it?
I sold it when I left Boca, and I have not looked back.
Did you get your money out of it?
I got my money. Well, no. You don't get any money out of it. I mean, it's a money sink the whole time. I made some money back, but not what I put in. So, It's
Cool.
But
Thanks.
I'm not
good
burning
talk.
up.
Good talk. He did.
It was a good
He
pep talk.
made a.
He just sold it.
So there's a success story, Sean. See.
there you go.
Okay, well, switching gears to the other part of the Built for Inflation piece that we're going. It might not be that appropriate of a slogan, but it's the truth. We've really transitioned our brand to be actually built for inflation. You know, when we started 10 years ago, I mean, if you'd have told me now that we're going to be making the amount of inflatable products we're making, you would have caught me completely by surprise. I would have been like, why in the hell would I make an inflatable thing? Because at the time, inflatable stuff was, the flimsy little pool rafts.
Yep.
What do you remember?
Floaties.
Do you remember the day that you first? I'm trying to remember back when the first day that you announced that we were making an inflatable board.
Yeah. So I got a cool story for that. I remember when I seeing some different boards or different things that were inflatable, and the thing that when I first saw it, I was like, man, I don't know. Like I think this technology can work because I like the form factor. I like it being packed up and being small.
Was it drop stitch at the?
It was drop stitch, but they all had the banana taco syndrome. Somebody would stand on it and then it would just, and it looked real chintzy, and they were all like white or just bare colors, and it was just very uninspiring. I didn't like it, and I remember just working on some things, and the first one wasn't this way, but my near-term quick goal was to be able to bring the design and innovation aesthetics that we've got on our hardboards into an inflatable line. To make them look like a hardboard, because it was just counterproductive to the point. I'm like, I don't really want to make giant, ugly, stupid-looking rafts that banana in half.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I worked about almost 8 months on developing the process to create the wood design and stuff like that on the PVC watercraft, which we've since transformed across the line of different products, and then also all the cool embellishments and designs that we use on our hardboards, transferring it over to the inflatables. But one of the things that, I know I'm going in circles here, but one of the things we did to promote our inflatable board launch, to your question about what was it like, I wanted to do a race, because people were doing like races and stuff with paddle boards, and it was, I wasn't really into it. I mean, it was like hardcore, triathlon, fitness races to where you would just paddle and all this stuff. And I'm like, man, with inflatables, we could turn this more into an adventure race. So we designed a course on Turkey Creek to where everybody, there was 50, we capped it to 50 entries. And I think we gave like free boards, right, to the first 50 entries. You had to run a mile up the boardwalk with a backpack.
With it back on?
Yeah. Then you had to get there, and when you finished, and pump it up, and then get in and paddle down. Dude, carnage. It was so badass.
Why don't we do that again?
It was so epic, watching, because the guys, so we had a few guys that were like serious, paddleboard racers. They didn't finish first.
They didn't do it?
It was army dudes, that packed it up, were able to just.
What was harder? Was it the running, the inflation, the paddling?
I don't know. I mean, I didn't do it. I watched. I think it just depends on who you were. Like some guys, I know some of the guys that won the race, they didn't even take time to inflate it all the way or put fins
That's
on.
what I was thinking. I bet they
You know what I
probably
mean?
didn't,
They were just like,
lay down and start paddling.
But it was cool, man. That was and so in my mind, that the whole concept of that adventure race, packability, portability was really the nucleus of this concept of what we've done with the inflatable products across our line. It's this different way of thinking about outdoor gear as transformable form factor. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Think about getting doing that same thing with a paddleboard. Hiking a fucking mile up a board. A rigid paddleboard.
Yeah, rigid paddleboard.
Man, and I'll say too, like we can all attest to this. Like we were on the bayou this morning, and you just see flotillas with all of our stuff everywhere. And when I was towing your boat yesterday, as we're towing it across the bay, there was 1,000 pontoon boats coming towards us. Like half the pontoon boats had either a dock or a hangout on top of the second
There you
level,
go.
and then a bunch of stuff. It was insane.
It's insane, man.
Yeah, so
I
it's
never would have thought.
It's cool.
The other thing is, it's expanded from to what we're sitting on now. You mentioned the docks and the furniture, but it was originally paddle boards, right? And it was, and then it got. We joke.
Well, the paddle boards were the gateway technology for us to be able to just take this. And I don't think I would have ever been exposed to, like the chair, for example. It's like the chicken or the egg. The chair would have never came about before the paddleboard.
Right.
It's like you can't create a computer before you have a hammer.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You did the paddleboard, then you realized the technology, said this would work in a chair.
And I think it's why you're seeing unique things like this come from our brand, is because we're getting experience in developing the products with this kind of technology, whereas somebody from a different field doesn't necessarily have the supply chain, the experience to look at it and go, oh, well, I'm going to apply that technology to that product line. And so it's almost technology first, learn, innovate, create, and then expand, the products out from there. So we went from paddleboards to kayaks. Actually, no, we went paddleboards to docks.
The dock, because I remember
dock and then
the night
kayak.
you came up with it, you sent me a text message with a sketch on it, and you go,
Dude, the dock, Magda, my wife, pestered me for 2 years to make the dock. And the reason I didn't make it is because I thought it was too simple.
yeah.
Seriously. I'm like, it's a floating square. You know what I mean? I'm like, I don't know. I mean, and then finally, I can't remember. I think it was after we got our farm, and I had this pond, and I'm like, dude, I don't have a dock out in the middle. Oh shit, I'll just make an inflatable one. You know what I mean? And so I kind of, again, like everything, made it for myself. And I'm like, this is pretty badass. We made it, instantly became one of our best sellers, and Magda's like, see, what took you so long?
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm like, well, I just felt stupid making a floating square.
Floating
What
square.
I mean?
But then that opens up the whole, thought process of like, it's endless.
Well,
now it's utilitarian.
So I'm looking at a picture on the wall over here. I mean, that is instantaneously what inspired the chairs. Was, well, when you got a dock, you need a place to sit, right? And I'm like, well, shit, we can just make it out of the same thing, so it's all packed together. And then after we did that, we actually on our product roadmap had rigid kayaks as the new category to go into in 2019. And our sales guy, Zach, at the time, he was interviewing for us as a job. He was like, look, dude, I think inflatable is the way to go with kayak. The same way you guys are doing this with these other categories. Let's go inflatable with kayaks because it opens the market up to people that are in condos, that don't have cars, don't have trucks.
Yeah.
It's a wider universe of buyers, and we can make them really nice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we applied the same logic to kayaks, and I'm staring at our Lono pedal drive here, and it's opened up kind of a new world in watercraft. We make our Rover Aero, kind of a little small skiff, inflatable. And then what you're sitting on now, we just launched all of this, and you guys check out the podcast on our Hangout Suite launch. But this category, what we're calling internally, we call our leisure category, which is basically a fancy way of saying, floats, chairs, non-skill driven products. These things, pardon the pun, have absolutely blown up.
I like that non-skill driven. That's.
I mean, Cameron,
We're just gonna lay on this thing for a while.
I was circling back around and saying, basically, Cameron, your hiring and the timing of that fits perfectly with non-skill level golfers.
I love the connection. I feel proud now. This is great.
But it has been insane, the transformation. We talk about product, but the transformation of customer. Because when we started as pure stand-up, right, you got a different customer than the people that are buying this.
Yeah.
And it's been badass to see. I mean, you guys do the photo shoots on all this stuff. What's it been like? I mean, shooting, like going from hard boards only to all of these things.
Well, now it's, Tyler will probably agree. Like, we travel around in a van filled with this stuff. People are like, oh, you guys sell paddleboards too? Like, now we're almost known for like this cool stuff. And when we kind of have a prototype, when we're not really selling them, but maybe we're on a trip and we have one of the things, people lose their minds. Like, we can't even get our work done because if we're at Springs or somewhere, people just attack us. We were at the Springs recently with Sky and our whole crew, and we had our tube.
Dude.
Oh, yeah.
And everyone went ballistic. And I'm like, it's a tube. But it's a nice Oh, I can't talk about that.
No, yeah. What do you mean you can't talk about it? We've been selling them, Hoss.
I know. You're looking at me like I went. But they weren't out when we did that.
Well, when you're doing product launch shoots, they're never out.
But what I'm saying is, it's ballistic. It's nuts, and the response has been super killer. And then people go. They always have advice, and they go, tell the dude that we need this, and I'm like, yeah, he's.
We'll figure it out.
That's me too, bro. Let's chill.
Yeah, there's always room for improvement. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like kick the first one out the door,
Yeah.
figure out where you're going to go from there.
Absolutely.
Progress, not perfection.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you wait on the perfect idea, it's never going to come. It comes by form of taking this and turning it to the next thing. Like, I mean,
Talk about the magnet. Now, that's my favorite thing that everyone trips out on. That's even to me is super simple. Like, why didn't somebody
Speaker
come
or
up?
Magnapod?
The Magnapod.
Magnapod itself, yeah.
dude, so
Just-
back to these Eureka ideas. The Magnapod, I know this isn't a podcast about Magnapod, but all of our inflatable products feature, for the most part, the magnetic connection points, that we have branded the Magnapod. This was a concept that, like every moment, just came out of necessity. I remember this was almost 2 years ago to the day. I'm sitting in my hot tub, and it's got like a what do you call it, tile side or whatever, slick as hell, right? And I don't know if it's
Perfect
beer.
place for a drink to drop
Yeah,
in there, right?
right here. I mean, sitting down on it, just nonchalant. Boom. And my youngest kid, who's like a bat out of hell, just comes and runs. Shwah! Boom! Jumps right in. But big weight goes out, just knocks my shit everywhere. And I remember just thinking, I'm like, dude, if this just had a magnet, click. Oh,
There you go.
it's that simple. I mean, I'm like, dude. And then the first thing in my mind was like, well, shit, this same thing happens on like the paddle boards and stuff, not being able to keep drinks down, dude. It doesn't need anything. Simplicity, just a small little magnet. So that's it. That was the whole idea behind the Magnapod. And now we've got
The speaker.
Speaker's cool.
now we've got a speaker that connects to it. We've got drinkware. We've got a whole line of products that we're going to expand into that click down to the magnets. All on the inflatable stuff. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know where these things, well, I do know where they're going to go over the next, 18 months, 24 months in the product category stuff. But in terms of where we're at now, it definitely is not where I envisioned in the first 10 years. But or the first 10 years ago, where we'd be in 10 years. But I got to say, I mean, I dig it. I dig the products. It's really cool when we have a trade show and we put them all out, or when I walk into a retail store and see that we've basically created a brand that's 80%-ish inflatable products. And it blows my mind.
I also like seeing, that makes me happy. I like seeing everybody can be a part of it. And when I first started working with BOTE, it was a lot of racing and everybody was super fit. I felt really out of place. I was like, man, I don't even like hanging out with your wife and other people. I was like, man, you got to be like a triathlete to be part of this crew. And now it's like literally from kid to elderly people to out of shape people, doesn't matter. It's something for everybody.
Quick around the horn, what is your favorite inflatable product?
The Zeppelin.
That's yours? Mm-hmm. The Zeppelin.
That's the one, okay, for me and my lifestyle.
Which one?
I
the
use
12.6 or the 10-footer?
I like the 12.6. Because I put all my stuff on it and I can use it everywhere and it's easy for me to carry around.
Although I don't have it yet, I love the chair. The new chair. The one.
Of course. Oh, yeah.
Everybody loves the chair.
Yeah, I like a chair.
All right.
I like a
Chair's
chair.
pretty cool, right?
Tyler, you got a microphone. What is yours?
I think mine's probably the hangout. I think people just trip out on it. My parents just got one, and they drag it around their lake, and she was like, we're just a floating advertisement for people.
I think my favorite's still the one that I considered the dumbest to begin with. Is
The square?
The
Square dock?
Square dock. I mean, it's the one that, my kids, I just keep it anchored on the lake, and they use it all the time. It's just the dumbest, simplest thing. Always seems
You
to
put
be
a
the
motor
most.
on the back of it. You can do all kinds of fun stuff with it. You know what I
How
mean?
many times do we get that question?
Can you put a motor? If you put a motor, it'd be cool. I'm like,
Yeah.
Didn't mean
there's
that.
Pete.
Can you put it? Hey, Pete, can you put a 16 horsepower motor on the dock, buddy?
Not that we would advocate anyone doing that.
Well, to kind of put a cap on this one, Cameron, thanks for joining us on the Built for Inflation podcast. Sure. The goal with this, I know we went all over the place, was just to basically say, hey, look, we're doing our best to build products that are actually for the current economy. We don't want you having to spend $1,000 on gas every week. We're also trying to give you guys products that you know, the pricing that can work, you know, in the given current economic conditions. And we wanted to promote our inflatability because it's badass. You know what I mean? So thanks for joining us.
No, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Sean, thanks. Tyler,
Thank you.
thanks for putting the whole shindig together.
Do what I can.
Thanks, baby Z.
That was another edition of Beneath the Surface podcast. Stay tuned for some more in the future. I promise they won't be as financially focused. But all right, thanks, guys.
Thanks. Bye.